Space, the final frontier. Every sci-fi nerd has heard those words. I've been thinking a lot lately about space. The dream of setting off into the inky eternal sky in a spaceship has always been alluring to me, and I know I'm not alone. The popularity of Star Trek, Star Wars, Mass Effect, and even Star Citizen back up how tantalizing it is to leave the mundane life of Earth. In the spirit of overthinking, I'm going to try and figure out why that is. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing for more overthinking like it. So, to get at the heart of why space is so alluring, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor to think through the themes that often accompany it in media. I've come up with 3 that I think fit. If you disagree or you think of more, leave a comment below. The first is freedom. Space is the ultimate representation of freedom. With an unfathomable amount of empty space and uninhabited planets, there is an infinite amount of options of what to do and where to do it. If you want to joyride your fighter doing loops and firing off your guns, there's plenty of empty, deep space where no one is going to be bothered if you do. If you want to live the homesteading life, all you need to do is open up a catalog of planets and pick one that matches your aesthetic. If you want the ultimate experience of city life, I'm sure there's plenty of city planets like Coruscant. Agency. The ultimate truth of space narratives is that the characters always feel like they can do something. There are no limits for Luke Skywalker. There are no limits for the Federation. Space is so vast that there is inevitably a corner of it where no one can or wants to tell you what you have to do. And lastly, it's never boring. This is perhaps the most limited by the medium of storytelling, but I think it's important. Sure, boring stories don't get told, but it's really hard to tell a boring story about space. An alien at a bar for a drink? The start of a new epic. Going for a walk on a moon light years away from Earth? Riveting. Just existing aboard a spaceship, doing normal everyday things? A dream. For people with mundane, even monotonous lives, the mundane of Earth and the mundane of space will never compare. There is a universe of possibilities out there, but on Earth, the possibilities are limited. So now that I've established the themes, I want to look at how they affect my desire to go to space. Now, I put freedom first because I think it's the most universal desire. Freedom is something people yearn for on a daily basis, especially kids and teenagers, the likes of which Star Wars and Star Trek are targeted towards. Especially the freedom from being told what to do, the freedom from other people. The enormity of space is such that you can truly be who and whatever you want to be, and if someone doesn't like it, then they can get lost. Or you can just ride off into the sunset. That kind of freedom is something that our interconnected world filled with 7 billion people is hard to attain. It's almost reminiscent of the westerns of old with the wandering cowboy, which may explain why westerns had such a huge influence in so many sci-fi movies and books. Next up is agency. Something literature nerds and lawyers like to talk about, but it's something really important to everyday people. Even if the choice is an illusion, it's better than being told what to do and who to be. That agency is hard to come by on Earth. The limits of who you are often set at birth, and even if you can rise above those circumstances, you can't be Bill Gates or Elon Musk, because they already exist. But in space, creating a new scientific MacGuffin is one plotline away. Being disgustingly wealthy could be a matter of moving to the right planet. Lastly, space is never boring. I talked about this a bit before, but I really want to hammer this home. Earth is set in stone. The city you live in will never expand and grow overnight to become an ecumenopolis. The 7 billion people here will not change overnight. The views will not change. If you want to see a pulsar, lay eyes on the storms of gas giants, meet new species, you have to leave Earth. Now that I've gone on for a good while about the promise of space, I want to think about what it means. Because to an extent, I am troubled by the realization that I dream of being somewhere other than here. Because that means the way I view Earth must inherently hold little to no promise. And again, I don't think I'm alone in that. Lately, I've noticed an increasing outlook in sci-fi about the Earth being doomed and humanity must flee. Stuff like Lost in Space, where they have to leave Earth because of the climate change. Or in 2012, the movie, not the year, where the elite of the world built spaceships to flee the coming apocalypse. Or in WALL-E, where humanity flies away on a not Amazon spaceship. What's worse about these narratives is the fact that they are relevant. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have talked publicly about how they believe that the future of Earth is doomed and the only path forward for humanity is in space. They've gone on at length about the slave jobs they plan to make, such as paying for your trip to Mars by becoming indentured servants. They have gone on at length about the slave jobs they plan to make, such as paying for your trip to Mars by becoming indentured servants. Jeff Bezos has imagined having workers live in space performing manufacturing while trips to Earth could be for sightseeing and vacation. Read The Rich. All this being said, I think the promise of space is an almost indulgent fantasy. One that I don't think we should deny people, but rather use it to remind us of how we want to fix the Earth.